Should couples retire together? Before you do, consider these 4 questions. This topic is one of my favorites. I can't wait to dive in. People, of course, need to think about retirement. It's such a big decision, but retiring together, there's so many consequences people may not have thought out. So before you retire together, you suggest you walk through these questions. First, have you correctly calculated your cost of living in retirement? Because according to a recent study, 46% of older adults spend more money during their first few years of retirement than before.
We want them to. They should live their best life in their first, I think, 10 years after they retire. So this is where a good financial advisor does a lot of listening and read the room. You've got spouses, and oftentimes they're on different pages.
Right.
One's more concerned about running out of money. One's more concerned about how lifestyle is going to change. So you've got to satisfy both of them and bring them together. That's why putting together a full financial plan is so important, because when you're reading the numbers and reading the document and you see the plan year over year, that involves things like tax strategies and how much income you can generate and how your growth targets will sustain your principal or grow your principal, it can kind of calm the emotions down. And then we can start to talk about, what are your desires? When do you want to retire? I have many clients where it's split. Some of the spouses say, I'm fine with working. I enjoy it. It keeps me young. I use my mind. I interact with adults. And then I have other spouses that say, it's too stressful. It's too much. It's time for me to go. So we can separate them, and one can go into semi-retirement or in retirement, or they can pick a date to retire together. But that would be something that you would want to meet with your financial advisor with over time. You don't need to make the decision today. And a lot of times it's emotional. You'll have a bad week at work or a bad month at work or a bad quarter at work. And you'll say, I'm done. And we can sit down, calm those emotions, look at the numbers, and statistically and mathematically map it out to raise your confidence level and make sure that you feel like this is doable, we can retire. And that's exciting when I see that. When the eyes open wide and the smiles start to creep into their faces and they're talking with one another about, this is going to be exciting for us. We can travel more, see the kids, see the grandkids, do what we want to do on our bucket list. That's what retirement should be all about.
Huge, absolutely. So next, you need to determine when is the best time for each person to claim Social Security.
Yep. So married couples, there's over 100 combinations of it. And you need to make sure that you not only study your Social Security options, and we have a tool where we can give you 3 or 4 varying scenarios and an optimal strategy, but that's just one component. You've got to then take that Social Security recommendation and put it inside the financial plan to make sure it benefits your overall financial health. In other words, should one spouse trigger a little bit earlier than the other one? Is there a substantial age difference between the spouses? In that case, you probably want one of them to wait until 70 so that spouse can step into the higher amount and you get all of those increases by deferring it. So it is a study that you need to do, and then you pause on it. You don't just make a decision based on that Social Security study. You build it inside the financial plan with varying scenarios. And that typically is the best way to iron it out and come up with a good strategy around Social Security.
And the next question to talk through would be, do you feel ready to retire? And this, again, Chris, this is so much more than just a financial answer. It's emotional, because we have to keep in mind, when we retire together, we are suddenly spending a lot more time nose to nose, right?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you have to figure out, okay, what do we like to do? What do we want to do? What are we passionate about doing? Either separately, you can have your separate hobbies, but then you come together, and are you a traveling family? Do you like to do that? Do you golf together? Do you want to spend more time with the kids, and are they dispersed across the country, so you need to travel to see them? You know, those are things that we can talk about during financial reviews, but more importantly, the spouses need to talk about that and prepare for, here's what we want our lifestyle to look like. And then we can say, you can afford to do that, or we need to make adjustments in your financial plan. But that is a big part of retirement. You definitely don't want to retire and sit around and be sedentary. This is your time to live your best life. This is your reward. You've reached the finish line.
Right.
Go and celebrate and have the money to spend on it. That's where we come in organizing that for you and building that full financial plan.
Right. Or roll into retirement day one and be like, wait, you wanted to retire to Cabo? Why didn't we talk this through? How often are couples, this is just kind of a side question, how often are people coming in and this is the first time they're having that conversation with you? No, I mean, together, but with you.
Well, it's interesting because I'm sure they're having this conversation, but are they really having a conversation? Or is it in passing? Is it one of the spouses comes home from work and says, I'm done, can't take it anymore, here's what my job is doing to me, and it's just disparate parts and disparate conversations. But when they sit down with a financial advisor and they're both looking at me and they're saying, well, we want to retire, or we're not sure if we want to retire, or we're not sure if we can retire, we can help them answer all of those questions.
Right. We're so busy. It's so hard to have these conversations sometimes. So the last question that you need to talk through with your spouse, and you touched on this before, do you have a financial plan?
Yeah, so we break it down into 3 components to make it very simple and understandable for people that call in and want to begin the process. The first step of the process is to build a portfolio X-ray. So we take a look at your whole financial life. We look at Social Security. We look at your investable assets. We look at, do you have a pension or not? We look at, is your work something where you can walk it down toward retirement? Can you work less days a week? Can you work remotely from home? So we talk about all of that. That's during the portfolio X-ray. And obviously we X-ray your current financial assets to see how they're invested, what your risk profile is on them, what your fee structure is on them. Once we've done that portfolio X-ray, then we need to build the most critical component of a retirement plan, which is the income plan. Basically, our mission is to replace your paycheck through your financial assets, Social Security, pensions, dividends, fixed income products, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That also includes tax strategies. So if this is sounding overwhelming, it's not. We do it every day, and we can walk you down this path and through this process. Then all of that gets accumulated and put into a full financial plan, which maps out exactly how your financial life should behave year over year from today's age through age 100. Those 3 process documents in writing, that's a good runway for anybody, even if you don't have an in-depth level or knowledge of investments or how to manage money. We can walk you through it and educate you along the way and build out a full financial plan for you.